Hello, everybody. This is Brian Ankney with AutoSuccess magazine. I'd like to thank you all for taking the time out of your day to join us. We've got probably one of the most popular topics other than the Olympics in the newspaper right now. We're going to talk today about Pokemon Go. I'm sure everybody on the call has experienced at least a few times walking down the street with a bunch of kids running into stuff. But there's actually some really neat opportunities for a car dealer to utilize this program and this phenomenon. I mean, honestly, it's a phenomenon what it's been able to do. But there's several ways we're going to learn today of how you can utilize that to bring people to your dealership, to engage people outside of the dealership. But before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like to go over with you. We're going to hold all the questions until the end, and then we'll address all the questions. As you have questions, though, please type them in as the webinar goes. If you're on a computer, on the right side, you should have a pane, and it'll say near the bottom is questions. If you hit that plus sign, it'll give you a place to type in questions. If you're on an Apple or an Android, depending on which device, it's either at the top or the bottom. But if you have any questions about how to use the questions, actually, I guess you could send me a text or an email, and I'll be monitoring that. Also, I'd like to invite everybody that's on this call. If you haven't yet, join AutoSuccess webinars on Facebook. It is a wonderful place for you to interact with our speakers and other people that are on the webinars. They're going to be learning the same things and trying to implement the same things that you are. It's a group on Facebook. In this Facebook search bar, you just type AutoSuccess webinars. It'll come up, request to join the group, and you'll have access to the AutoSuccess staff, our speakers, and then also the other attendees that join the group. With that being said, I'd like to introduce our guest today. It's my privilege to introduce Drake Barrison. Drake and I have known each other for a very, very long time, and I love this topic, and I'm excited to hear his presentation on it. Drake is the head of sales and marketing at Turnkey Marketing. Drake, if you'd like to say hello to our guests and take it away, my friend.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Brian. I appreciate it. Well, I'll tell you what, today is definitely an interesting topic. Usually when we do things like this, we're talking about some very in-depth, or we'd like to think in-depth marketing program with great details. But today we get to talk about a Japanese creature that can help us go ahead and reach more customers. So it's definitely quite interesting. And really what this is about is harnessing the whole Pokemon phenomenon. And the reason why I wanted to discuss this and share this with everyone is because one of the things that we've noticed is there's a lot of dealers out there that are wanting to do something with the whole Pokemon phenomenon, figure out a way to piggyback on it. But there's a lot of stores also need some help, or just haven't gone ahead and made it an activation point on in there. So hopefully today you'll be able to get some great tips. One thing as far as on this webinar is this is going to be more practical tips and to the point, so things that you can start implementing on your own at your dealership starting today. If there's any questions you have on detailed or how-tos or anything of that nature, anything in depth, please feel free to let the moderator know, and we can get that information to you. We can also email out on over to you all of the details and some of the how-to items in there complimentary. So let's go and jump on in and take a look. So we're going to go ahead and go over a few different items today. First of all, we're going to hit some quick facts and a little refresher on Pokemon. Why you even get on this whole bandwagon in the first place? What are some of the marketing channels to utilize to reach these prospects? Some off-site prospect outreach, and as well as in-store marketing. So when we think about Pokemon, just to kind of give an idea of how big it is, and Pokemon Go is really activated the whole augmented reality experience for the masses. And so we're really on the verge, what we're all experiencing right now is seeing augmented reality that we know is going to continue to grow. I'm not sure if any of you saw the news from Apple yesterday, but they're continuing to pour a huge amount of investment into it as well as we see the other major players out there too, like Google and so on. So I think Pokemon's just the tip of the iceberg. So this is a great way, almost training wheels per se, to get on in there and to harness this for the stores. Now the nice thing about Pokemon is that from the stats that are coming on out is majority of players are adults, not necessarily children. Of course there are children that do play the game, but we got a lot of adults in there, very popular amongst the 22 to 34-year-old demographic. Of course, it is now the most popular game app ever launched, even though they've had some challenges come up in the last couple of weeks, as I'm sure some of you are aware of in terms of their in-store purchases. But what was really neat about Pokemon was the rapid growth it had from the very beginning. that it surpassed the amount of Twitter's average daily users, and that even just several days into them launching in the U.S., they already had 21 million daily active users. So definitely it's definitely a behemoth and creating a lot of movement in there. So any of you that don't know about Pokemon, I'm sure a lot of you on this call do know about it, but just a quick little refresher. So Pokemon is just basically, it's a free, Pokemon Go, I should say, is a free mobile app. You can download it on iPhone or Android, and it's based on a very famous series that's been used as an animated series, a game, a trading card game as it originated, where it allows players to really physically visit locations in the real world. So this is really where the augmented reality part comes into place, is users are able to go out into their community, into various locations, they're called Pokestops or Pokegyms. I'll give you more details on that in a bit, where they can go ahead and find these creatures that are called Pokemon. And they can go ahead and try to capture them, and all these little creatures have different points and point scale to them. But it's really mobilized people to get out of their homes and go ahead and engage in the physical world out there. So basically players throw these what are called Pokeballs. And like I said at the beginning, this is a very awkward subject to talk about Pokemon, so they get to throw Pokeballs at creatures to try to capture them. This is kind of what it looks like, though, to kind of give you an idea. So on the left-hand side, you can see the live camera view. This is what a player would see through their phone. In this case, this is an iPhone here. Of where the Pokemon creatures, looks like they've caught one there, the coffee shop on the left-hand side. In the middle, there's one sitting on a rooftop of a building. Another one, there's a creature that's inside the hallway of an office. And then on the right-hand side is what's called the map view. And this is what the customer sees, or the player, I should say, sees initially on how they even find these creatures. And these creatures are located primarily in a place called a Pokestop. And so let's go and take a look how we can go ahead and utilize this. So you're going to want to jump on the bandwagon for several reasons. But just from the big point in here, obviously we know it's activated the augmented reality experience. It's important there. The brand recall on Pokemon is incredible. I'm not sure if there's necessarily been a dollar figure put to it, but I would assume it's got to be worth in the billions of dollars and worth of brand recall. So this is really what we're trying to do here, is to be able to piggyback on this and associate your dealership with it. And it also allows us to go ahead and take your dealership to your competitor's backyard. This is a great way for the store to get out there. If there's one reoccurring theme that I'd like to definitely get across out there, it's get out there, engage with your community, engage with people that you may not usually be able to reach on a day-to-day basis, right? So it really helped broaden the horizon of not just going after people that are saying that, hey, down funnel, ready to buy a car right now, but also introducing people that are going to fill up more of the mid to top funnel on in there. And also it's popular amongst various age groups. I was just at the Digital Dealer Conference earlier this week, and I thought it was quite interesting watching all this dealership personnel walking around the MGM Grand Hotel. And I think the highlight of the trip was when I watched a dealership staff member walk into a slot machine as she was trying to capture a Pokemon creature on in there in the floor of the MGM. So it is popular amongst adults, and it is popular probably amongst one of the most difficult demographics out there to get our car business, right? So there's some great channels you can use, right? So you got to be creative. This can be a really fun experience to be able to go ahead and pull some of your staff together at the dealership as well. Not just your marketing department, but get the creative juices flowing. Get everyone talking, get everyone discussing. So there's some intrinsic value here. Now, on the digital side, I would break it down into really three main categories. The first, obviously, being social, and such as Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, and so on. And you want to go ahead, and what we encourage stores to do is to integrate original Pokemon content into your posts as well as your Facebook ads. Okay. Now, what we're not trying to do is market Pokemon. Okay. What we're trying to do is to go ahead and have just another tool in the toolbox to help reach a demographic, as well as help go ahead and stand out just a little bit more from that of the competition. It's really humanization, and I know probably some of us either love to use that word or hate using that word, but the bottom line is it is important to humanize the dealership. And when we have a big phenomenon like Pokemon that has the following already, that has heavy brand recall, this is a great place to go and tie it together. So in Twitter, Twitter has, some of you might already use this at your dealerships already, but the Twitter polls, okay, these are awesome to use for Pokemon. You could even ask the question as simple as, what's your favorite Pokemon, that type of thing. And it's a way to get people to engage with your dealership on your Twitter account, and again, to help reach more people through that channel. Another thing I wanted to hit here is on the Snapchat filter. So I'm sure many of you are already using the new Snapchat filters. If you're not aware, you can now purchase Snapchat filters. And what a Snapchat filter is if you're a user on Snapchat, and let's say you're at a popular location. Let's say you're at an entertainment of some sort, a shopping center or something like that. And you take a picture there with your friends. Snapchat gives you the opportunity to put up what's called a filter, which is like a frame, okay? And that frame can be logoed with your dealership, your message, all of that in there. Regardless of if the person utilizes that filter or not, it's essentially created a way where you can advertise to people directly on Snapchat. Now, Snapchat, these filters are really neat, and they're very inexpensive in most cases. I can tell you this. We picked up a Snapchat filter at the MGM at a digital dealer, and I picked it up for less than $10 on in there. All right, and that we had it running for about 5 hours or so. So it can be very inexpensive. What's also nice, though, too, is it gets you some extra brand reach in there for people to see you. So utilize these things from your social side, and you can work that stuff out directly with Snapchat or your internal marketing team. These are all very easy to do. On website content, obviously incorporate homepage banners, things of that nature. Play on what you're trying to do. You're trying to lease them all, sell them all, all that good stuff. But again, the way to go ahead and just make sure that your homepage, your website, when someone gets there, it's another way to look a little bit different than the next car dealership down the road. Okay, the other thing too is Google recently released, Google's extended ads for search engine marketing. And what's really neat about these extended ads, it allows you to put a lot more characters into your actual ads, so you don't have to be as limited anymore. So I kind of like to say it's a difference between trying to say, I sell a car to we sell a vast variety of Ford vehicles at ABC Motors. I mean, you can really make fully cohesive sentences in there as well. So this is a great place to go ahead and utilize that's now available through Google and those programs. You can play with all kinds of different messaging. Just kind of an example here, and this is one that's actually used at a dealership, is which deal would you throw your Pokeball at? $129 a month or $5,000 off a 2016 Ford Fusion? Call now to catch these great deals. So you can have some fun with this. Again, if this is for somebody that's searching for, say, your make, model product on Google there in a search, and you're just throwing something extra in there to have a little fun with it, make your ad look a little bit different than the next guy that's just trying to advertise an offer or say come down, we're the best. You're tying it all in. Now, here's a couple little examples here, some Facebook examples. So it doesn't take much to go ahead and integrate Pokemon into this, right? It's not going to require a vast amount of time from your marketing teams, whether those are internal or external. It's very easy to put this stuff in here. Now, what I'm not suggesting is that you make your posts on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat, everything that's going up in there. You don't put these in every single day. Obviously, we want to go ahead and do it while it's popular, right? And so maybe that's a couple times a week that you're putting that on up in your social posts. Now, obviously, you want to probably be on the bandwagon right now because who knows when the momentum's going to stop on the whole Pokemon Go theme, right? We do know that very soon, Niantic is opening it up to where you can purchase or you'll have the ability to be a Pokestop. They're going to monetize it. Whether they go ahead and do that as on a kind of a lease type basis or whatnot, that remains to be seen. But regardless, though, hopefully, we want to keep it, stay on this while it's hot. Okay, so here's an example of a Snapchat filter on the left-hand side. I just put obviously it's a generic family, which that's on in there, but kind of gives you an idea of what the filter can look like. You have your dealership logo. You can have, you can throw Pikachu or whoever you want in there, which is one of the main Pokemon characters. This one is really unique, though, on the left that we've utilized. Okay, and so I'm going to tell you guys how we utilize this and how it's working for our store. You could go ahead and start doing this today if you'd like. We went ahead and create a Snapchat filter, and then we went ahead and ran the filter in very popular areas that are near the dealership. Okay, so that was shopping centers, a mall. There's also an entertainment center that had like a movie theater, restaurants, things of that nature, and we ran these Snapchat filters in the evenings on in there for several days. And then also we went ahead in those in the entertainment center where the restaurants and whatnot, we ran that during lunch rush as well too, from like 11:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. to cover that kind of broad gamut of lunch rush. So it's just another way that for the users that are on Snapchat to see that, hey, there's excitement, there's something going on over at XYZ Motors. Yes, we're saying there's a Poke Party all month long, prizes, lures, deals, and more. But again, just it's another way you can get to people very, very, very inexpensively and help reach on out there. And of course, on this page here, you can see some examples of some search engine marketing ads and how the wording is put on in there, as well as a homepage slider for a vehicle, and then also another social post from Instagram. So the nice thing about tying this in is you're going to notice you're going to get extended reach on your social side in particular. You're going to get more likes. You're going to get a lot of comments as well too, and you're going to get more reach. So those of you that manage your social media strategies in depth or take care of the day-to-day, something you're going to notice is you're going to get a lot of organic reach. Which is awesome. And so it's not something you have to throw a bunch of money at in terms of, say, on the Facebook side, in terms of boosting and things of that nature. It naturally, you have this momentum, you're essentially piggybacking off of it. Not to say that you may not want to boost or advertise, but it really helps out in going ahead and getting that organic reach in there. But as I was saying earlier, Pokemon creates a really unique opportunity in there to get out there in front of the community. So if you're integrating some of these, the Pokemon phenomenon into your marketing channels, great. People are helping you. It's helping you be seen more and helping you be seen as unique. It's helping humanize your dealership. That we're not just crusty car dealerships, but we're actually businesses that are in with the times, right? And we're part of what's new and happening out there. But the off-site prospect outreach is the greatest opportunity for stores right now. So there's these things called Pokestops and Pokegyms out there, okay? And I'm going to just tell you real quick, a Pokestop is a physical location. It could be like a park or a physical landmark or a business where the Pokemon creatures exist and players physically go to, right, to find these creatures. So that means that's where you see, and you've seen on the news, or people are, walking around out here in California, walking off cliffs, to catch these creatures. And then a Pokegym is a place where players go and they actually compete. Because there's teams and so on and things of that nature. But I want to speak particularly to the Pokestops. So when you think of a Pokestop, think about physical engagement with prospects, actually talking to the people in your community, talking to your prospects, and the people in your competitors' community as well too. So I'm going to give you a little example here. And all this has been put in place in real-world environments. I want to make that real clear. This is not all just theory or ideas to put out there. These are items that we've gone ahead and worked with stores on, and our clients have done as well too, to put into action. They've had good success with. So I'm sharing this, and you can implement it on your own as well too. So when you go to a so a couple things here. Number one, create a Pokemon Go user account. But when you create when you download the app, you have to give it a name, right? You have to give your user a name. Give that user the name of your dealership. And the reason why you want to use the name of your dealership and not your, your personal account is because when you can lay down these things called lures. And what a lure does, you can get this from an in-game app purchase. So if you're on an Apple device that uses your, Apple, your iTunes account on in there, or App Store account, I should say. So when you lay down these lures, it attracts a bunch of the Pokemon creatures. So what's really cool is this, is you can literally go ahead and grab a couple of your, nicest or sexiest looking new vehicles on the lot, particularly two of them that have accessories or so. They got the nice new rack on the top, they got the nice rims on there, all the little doodads you can possibly think of that are on there. And send a couple extroverts that you have on your team out there. They don't have to be salespeople. They need to be people that can engage well with people, not afraid to talk. Send them out there with a couple vehicles. Put some signs up there. Put a giant, Pikachu if you'd like, a cutout board or something of that nature. Market it, pre-market it through your digital channels on out there, and let people know that, hey, we're going to be at, whatever the name of that location is. We're going to, come see us. Tell them where you're going to be at. we're going to put out for $100 in lures or $20 in lures. It doesn't matter, right? And just so you guys know, that's a lot of lures. And what those lures will do is they'll attract a lot of creatures. When you attract a lot of creatures, you attract a lot of people. And because your username with your Pokemon user account is your dealership names, you're going to get the credit for it, meaning your dealership will get the credit for it. So again, it's a way to get out there and have fun and be with the people. Now, here's the part where it comes into selling cars, right? Because we still want to don't want to just use this as a brand reach opportunity. We want to use it as a sales activation opportunity. So when you're out there, you got kind of this common theme going on with yourself and the prospects. Using Pokemon Go as kind of this, the great equalizer, you could say. If you bring the cooler out there with some waters and sodas, you pick up some slices of pizza or some pizzas out there, and you hand people, here's a slice of pizza, a bottle of water or soda, here's our brochure on our dealership, and you start talking to them, you can very easily walk into the conversation about being able to appraise their vehicle, be able to take a look at their car right then and there and say, boy, I tell you what, this is a fine vehicle. I think this vehicle is probably worth about $16,000 at our dealership that's only a 3-minute drive or 5-minute drive or 10-minute drive away. If you'd like to head down there, I can have our office start working on the paperwork for you. And it's amazing what you'll get is because you get people to create two-way interaction with you because they're not walking into your house, your dealership, where they have a lot of ice on their shoulders and you got to break them down. They're very comfortable already because you have a common connection, right? And it's fun. And plus, you're the one handing them a slice of pizza and a bottle of water, too, so they're going to want to listen a little bit. You could bring a cutout Pikachu with you. I'll show you guys an example of one of those right now. What's really important is to get the people to take a picture in front of that Pikachu with their vehicles there and have them post it on their Facebook account and tag your dealership in it. Help get your name out there with those people. A great opportunity to get those people to start following you on Facebook and putting them in the funnel at the dealership. So this, out of everything, this is an item that I strongly encourage stores to do. I have personally done this with dealerships. It is fun, and it also goes ahead and creates opportunity. And we also ended up having, we were out there for an hour, and we ended up with, having 2 people go ahead and trade in vehicles at the dealership. Maybe we just got lucky in that 1 hour, but I'll tell you what, out of all the people we talked to, which is about 42 people, that's a pretty good amount to come back on in and people to go ahead and engage with and talk with and introduce to the dealership. But you can have some on-site participation, too, as well at your dealership. So some of you might be a Pokestop. If you are a Pokestop, you have immediate opportunity to get a lot of foot traffic. If you're a Pokestop, I'd strongly recommend throw a Poke Party. So you can kind of see an example on the right-hand side. This was actually taken at Digital Dealer. We decided to bring a little cutout Pikachu with us. But these are very inexpensive to go ahead and have made. It might cost you, depending upon your local printer there, might cost you, $50 to $150, somewhere in that range. And you can have this nice big cutout made even bigger, right? You can put the name of your dealership on there, carry that on around. And I'll tell you, it is, to the different offsite events, or even at the dealership. If you're in an auto mall or you're, or near the street, setting it out there when people drive by and they see it, it is such a conversation starter. It's incredible. Again, like I said before, it's a little silly because we're talking about a Japanese character that's helping us sell cars, but again, it's a way to get people to stop and have brand recall of your business as well. I've seen a lot of stores lately doing things where they're giving out complimentary, say we're getting complimentary lures via like iTunes credits, or with test drives, service offers that are tied on into things. You can have all kinds of Pokemon activities at the store. You can do trivia. I've seen a lot of stores doing that on a busy day at the dealership, and they'll go ahead and get a staff member at the dealership that communicates well, good extrovert there, and go ahead and just do 5 minutes of some Pokemon trivia. You can do high score incentives with weekly winners, and this is what's cool about that is you can actually run that as a social campaign where you guys choose a new winner each week, and they have to come into the dealership. So what's nice about this is it creates a reciprocal participation, and that's the real key here is it gets the people to come to the dealership to show their high score on their phone, to go ahead and upload that photo, tag your dealership in it, allows you to go ahead and create an album out of that, like let's say in particularly Facebook, and to go and really just have some fun with it. Not filling your Facebook page up with a bunch of Pokemon stuff every day, but talking about creating actually unique albums that help grab more people on in there. You can even do Pokeball hunts. That's another one that's been really popular. We've been seeing. You can go on Amazon. There's a number of other websites out there that sell the little Pokeballs. I saw a store go ahead and hide them in random vehicles. I shouldn't say random vehicles. It was all their aged inventory that they wanted to push off a little bit faster. And what they told the customers was, if you find a Pokeball inside one of the vehicles, you get an additional $500 off. And they just put that on their aged inventory, and it helped them on out there. I also saw another store that just went as simplistic as printing out on a sheet of paper some Pokemon creatures, and then where it says CP, they went ahead and put a dollar amount. CP is what the scoring system is called in Pokemon. So whatever that amount was the additional discount the customer could get. So anyways, those are some of the things that you can go and do. It's really just practical items, but with everything, get on out there, start integrating Pokemon if you're not already in your marketing. Get out there to the Pokestops, communicate with the community, have fun with it, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how many opportunities you can go ahead and generate from it.
Well, thank you, Drake. That was great. I've got quite a few questions for you here.
All right.
Niantic is not accepting requests for Pokestops at this time. Do you know when they will?
So right now, nobody knows the official date when they're going to go ahead and release it. Right now, circulating the rumor mill is mid-September. I personally happen to kind of be on board with that, or at this time, I should say. An old saying is, I reserve the right to change my mind tomorrow if I know something different than today. But I would say probably around mid-September, and that's what kind of the theme is right now. The main reason for that, why there's a lot of discussion, is because the whole momentum, it was expected from Pokemon Go to really be at its initial peak from all of July, all of August. So going into September, after they've had this proof of concept for the businesses out there, that's a great opportunity for them to go ahead and pick things back up, as well as start monetizing it heavily with various businesses. So.
All right. Also, is it possible to use licensed Nintendo characters on your social media without permission? And where are you getting these vector images?
Okay, so that's the million-dollar question. So definitely I'm not an attorney by any means, so I'm not going to give any legal advice, but here's kind of where it comes along the lines there, is we have reached out directly to Niantic. We've gone ahead and asked them and sent requests on over there that have not been answered. If we can, if we're showing in a post or where we're putting their character that we're giving credit where credit is due, meaning that we're showing that it is a trademark of Niantic Labs and Pokemon and all the proper items in there and the date range that's been copyrighted and so on from 1995 until now. They have not yet responded back to us. So what I would suggest to everyone is that if you're going to put the characters out there, you should probably go ahead and have that in there, maybe the safeguard. However, on the flip side, it can be one of those things where it's kind of better to ask maybe for permission, ask for forgiveness and ask for permission. We haven't seen, we have a number of stores, not just stores that we work with, but dealerships out there in general, and we're seeing it all over the place, from churches integrating this, businesses integrating this, and I haven't seen any major crackdowns or anything of that nature. So, I would say you're probably safe, getting away with it for now. And I'm sure when they start monetizing things, that might change, which is kind of the reason why we're doing a lot of it right now, just in case any of those do change. But that is a good question, and it is something that's definitely a topic not to be skirted, but to be considered for sure. All right. And as far as on the graphics on in there, so we've been resourcing graphics from a number of locations on in there. So graphics have been coming from various graphic sites, and even this is actually something I can send out to you guys. And Brian, I'm glad you brought up that question. There are some subscription graphic sites that we've been able to find Pokemon characters on, which I wonder, and just thinking about it right now, is I wonder if they have, since those are subscription-based services, if that then goes ahead and gives the ability to kind of keep it clear to use those characters. But I'll find that out, and I can get that information to you guys.
Okay. Drake, you said that you used the $10 Snapchat filter for 5 hours. Do you pay by the hour?
Yeah, so you can go ahead and choose how long you want the filter to go, so how many hours you'd like it to go. If you are in if you try to pick up a Snapchat filter at a very big event, so I'm going to give you an example. We're doing some marketing and sponsorship for a big event down in San Diego, California, Del Mar. It's called Kaboo, and it's a real big concert that goes on. Mercedes, the manufacturer, actually is the main sponsor of it. So a Snapchat filter down there is going to be it's going to be very expensive because you have a lot of big brands that want to go and be on those filters. If you're in an area that's not a big event where you're having a sudden increase in people, then they're going to be a lot less expensive. But the short answer is yes, you can go and pay by the hour on in there. So if it's an area that might be a little bit more expensive, the nice thing is you don't have to commit to all day. You can commit to, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, something of that nature. I would suggest this, though, for everyone that's listening. If you're going to utilize Snapchat filters in any of your marketing, just because I've seen this happen before, and if you travel a lot, make sure when you create the filter, you set the time zone for the time zone of the location where you want the filter at. If your dealership is in Texas and you happen to be at a 20-group meeting up in New York and you're setting up your Snapchat filter, you need to go and make sure you set your time zones on in there. Otherwise, it's going to automatically pull the time zone that your computer is at.
Okay. Drake, do you play Pokemon Go? If so, how many have you caught?
Oh, that's a fun question. All right, I am not a big player of Pokemon Go. I do play sometimes. I've only caught a handful of Pokemon, but I have played it at the dealerships, the trade show, and I did decide to go ahead and walk on over to a park the day after it was open, and I caught myself my first Pokemon on over there. But I was quite embarrassed walking around playing Pokemon, so I'm probably not the best example of a user out there, but I definitely want to get in front of all the people that are using it.
Okay, actually, we kind of have the same question asked by two people. One was how to get a Pokestop in your showroom, and the other one was, what are you suggesting for those with no Pokestops nearby? In the meantime, our location is a dead zone. So, is there anything that people can do to get a get a Pokestop near them?
Yeah, so as far as getting the Pokestop near you, that's not going to be the possibility just yet until Niantic opens that on up for monetization and purchasing there. However, if you're not near a Pokestop and there's not one near you, you might be maybe a rural store or something of that nature. Just as simple as integrating into your marketing channels. Kind of what we were talking about with maybe the website sliders, some of your social. You can even throw it in some of your search engine marketing. Just it's another tool in the toolbox to get out there and for people to see and humanize and associate with the dealership on in there. So that's really going to be kind of your best bet in there, as well as just create excitement in the store from those in-store activities. And here's one last thing I'll leave with on that question there is these little Pokemon cutouts, if you can go ahead and have one of those, and when you're going, I know this is going to sound absolutely silly, but when you're going around town, if you have a vehicle where the windows aren't tinted or something of that nature, and you have it in there, maybe like in the second row of a truck or something of that nature, it creates a lot of conversation. When you go out to lunch and you're sitting there at lunch and you have this Pokemon deal in there, or people ask about it, people come up to you about it. They, it initially starts as people make a laugh about it and say, oh my goodness, how the heck did you catch that thing? Or, oh, you're the first person I've actually seen catch a Pokemon, You can have some fun with it. Yeah, I lassoed them in on over at ABC Ford down here, So you can have fun with it, as corny as it might sound.
Okay. Well, looks like that's the last of our questions. If anybody else has any last-minute questions, please type them in right away. A couple things I'd like to remind you of before we go. First of all, thank you very much for coming today, and Drake, thank you very much for presenting this webinar. It was great.
Oh, no problem. Thank you for having me.
Hey, no problem, man. No problem. And the other thing I'd like to remind you guys of, and I know I say this at the beginning and at the end of every webinar, join AutoSuccess webinars because we know the topics that people are writing about in the magazine, but if there's something that you want somebody on there to answer questions about how to do it, or a particular person you'd like for me to invite, please join the group and message me. Let me know what you guys would like to see, what would be helpful to you. Thank you all for coming. Drake, is there anything else that you'd like to leave our listeners with today?
No, if anyone has any detailed questions at all, or need to know any more in-depth how-to type items, targeting, things of that nature, we are happy to share that information openly and freely with anybody. So please, if you'd like to know any of that, have those detailed breakdowns, please let Brian know. and with your information there, and we can go ahead and email that on over there to you to help make it a little bit easier. We'll be sending out some, including a couple different templates that you can utilize as well in your social that you can even edit on in there. So feel free to go ahead and let him know about that. Other than that, thank you very much for listening. If you'd like more information on us or on these programs, you can check out our website as well, and we have some info up there.
Cool. Well, thank you, Drake. Okay. Yep, that's all of our questions. So yes, thank you everybody for coming. I hope to see you all again in the near future. If you missed part of this webinar, you can shoot me an email. Actually, you'll get an email from me tomorrow thanking you for coming. You can just reply, and I'll send you the recording. Thank you all for coming. Drake, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you all again soon. Bye.